Today we are stepping into controversy and discussing the socially acceptable sin that is killing the church. All right, so let's imagine this scenario. Bob walks into the church. Larry says, "How you doing, Bob?" Bob says, "Good." They both nod at each other and they walk away. Did you see what happened there? Bob isn't doing well. He's hurting. But there isn't really anything to do about it because Larry is hurting also, and he doesn't know what to do about it at all. So what's the sin that I'm talking about? I'm talking about masks. What does that look like? It looks like I'm fine, God's good, praise the Lord, everything's great and dandy, not a problem. We've all got our matching outfits and our smiles on, even though we were just fighting in the car on the way here. Masks are deception. So let's take a look at John 8:44. This is Jesus speaking to the Pharisees, and he's describing the devil in this. "You are of your father, the devil. Your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies." We walk in masks, attempting to not let everybody see how bad it is. Is your church, are your friends around you, a place that you can take your mask off and stop pretending like everything is okay? See, the church loves past successes. I was addicted to drugs, but I'm not any longer. I used to get angry a lot, but I'm not any longer. And there is this overall lie that everything is supposed to be okay, and that there's not supposed to be struggle anymore. That was all in the past. There's no more struggle now because Jesus freed us from that, and we don't have to worry about anything anymore. And now everybody's just got their stuff together. It's all good. Yes, Jesus has freed us from so much. And there's a huge degree that Jesus frees us from the things that are in our past. And it doesn't just mean that we just get a pass to not struggle through anything anymore, that we're just 100% clean and free and whole. Humans are messy, and we have to deal with a lot of stuff to get rooted out of there. Sometimes you have to walk that freedom out. See, I believe that my spirit was made right before God, was made whole and righteous before God, and that's how he sees me the moment that I believed that Jesus paid for my redemption. I believe that my spirit is made 100% right with God in that capacity. The salvation and redemption of my soul, the part of me that makes me and unique from a lot of other people, that's a different thing. It's a journey, and we have to work that salvation out. We have to have successes, and we have to have failures. We have to struggle through that with that part of our souls. It takes effort, and it takes work, and it's like surgery, and we have to be open to this process, and we can't just be passive in that. It's something that we have to continually seek the face of God for. That doesn't mean that Jesus didn't free me. He did free me, but now I have to participate in that freedom. And there's a element of me being bought in. There's an element of me owning that and struggling through it. And we need to create a safe place for that to happen. There's absolutely more room for me to grow into the full stature of Christ as I attempt to look more and more like Jesus. There's a ton of room for me to grow there. I've come a long way, and to say that there's a ton of room doesn't negate The fact that I've come a long way and I've grown a lot and I look more like Jesus than I ever have, but I do not look like Jesus right now, and I mess it up a lot and I don't get everything right. So why pretend like I do? Why put on a mask that says everything is fine? Why attempt to show everyone else that my soul is 100% saved and that I've got little problems here and there. I've got little issues here and there. Nobody's perfect, but I'm basically perfect. Why is that our default? Why is that acceptable in our churches, in our friend groups? Why is that okay? Because it's an absolute lie and it's a deception, and it's us walking and practicing and promoting total deception. That is Satan territory, and that is not for us. We're supposed to walk in the truth. People are messy, and we don't like messy because messy is not controllable. By very definition, it's not controllable. So we don't know what it's going to look like every time. The lies are, you're supposed to have it figured out. You're supposed to have your stuff together. That's the lies. See, wholehearted people who have dealt with their shame invite people to work through things and not mask it. If you don't have people in your life who are encouraging you to do that work in your soul, to get rid of the shame in your life, to open up and look through and find those things and grow through them, then you have a lot of friends who have some very deep masks. And I don't think that they're probably very wholehearted people. If they have that deep of masks, they're walking in deception. And why is that okay? Why, as a church, as the people who follow Jesus, are we okay with promoting people to walk in deception like that? It's because it's scary and it's messy and we don't have answers. And honestly, it's mostly because we're barely keeping it together ourselves. So if everybody just keeps it together, then we don't have to find out how messed up everyone actually is. It's as if messed up people proves that Jesus isn't real. It proves that God doesn't exist because, well, his Christians are messed up people. But that is a lie. It's an absolute, total lie. If Jesus is real, then we work through our things. If we have to deceive everyone to say that we're totally fine, that is us walking the father of lies, and that's not us being whole. Jesus came to bring healing and life and restoration and to bind up the brokenhearted, not to mask it. We have to get rid of this deception in our lives. We have to stop promoting that. We have to start making that okay. It is not okay to mask what's going on in our lives. And let me clarify something right here. That does not mean that you should just walk in to church on a Sunday morning or whenever and tell everyone your deepest, darkest secrets and all of the shame that's in your life. People need to earn that place of trust. They need to earn that place that it can be a safe place for you and not just be a place of gossip and damage. You need to find people who are trustworthy of that. But we also need to start promoting amongst ourselves that it's not okay to just say, yeah, I'm good, when we're not good and we're struggling with some stuff. We weirdly support mask people because it kind of gives us hope that being wholehearted is possible, because we see their mask and we think, oh, this guy's got it all figured out, then it must be possible for me to have gotten it all figured out. And we sometimes feel a lot of shame because the person with the best mask is the person that we think has got it together, like they figured it all out, when they've just put the most effort towards their mask and we believe it. we're buying their deception. I would rather appear messed up and be whole on the inside than look whole and just be riddled with shame and hurt. I would rather my mask not look as good and be real than to be 100% fake and it look like I've got my life together. I'm not going for Instagram perfect here. I don't need to be an influencer and show you how flawless everything is. I am trying to create a space that I know is lacking, where it says it's okay to not have everything figured out. It's okay to not have your stuff together. We're working on that. We're getting it together. But that requires us to unpack it, which is really messy, and find out how messy and disgusting some of my decisions have been, how terrible some things that have happened to me have been, to take all of the ugly emotions and pull them out, and all of the shame that I want to avoid at every cost, pull it out and start looking at it and sort it through. And that doesn't prove that Jesus isn't around. That doesn't prove that Jesus has failed. It's actually me walking out that redemption and working out the salvation of my soul. So what do we do about it? Well, recently I started going to a small group, a men's group, where the 6 of us sat around and answered a couple of questions. And one of the questions was, what in your story is going well and what in your story is not going well? And with the 6 of us guys, we started opening up and saying, okay, well, here's my shame. This is the worst of my shame. And we kind of set it out there for everybody to see. It's been amazing to see guys take the mask off, which, generally speaking, guys have some of the biggest masks, because there's a lot of pressure to be tough and strong, and you don't have to be a loser, and you're the best and the toughest and the biggest, and just that alpha male. It affects guys too, and guys have a ton of shame, but we don't work on it at all because you're not supposed to. That is perceived as weakness, and that perception is changing. And I'm so grateful for this idea that you don't have to have it 100% figured out in order to be a true man. Like, it's shifting, and it's okay to be hurting, and it's okay to work through some things, and I'm really excited about that part. So in this group, we're like opening up our shame, and we're being seen, and we're being supported, and we're being prayed for, and we're being loved, and we're showing that to each other and taking care of each other and looking out for each other, and then calling each other up later on and being like, hey, I'm thinking about you, I'm praying about you, I'm like, what can I do to help you? Like, that's been a question that I've never heard asked before. Like, what can I do to help you? That's not true. I've heard that question before, but people don't really mean it. They just are trying to placate you, and it's the polite thing to say. But in this group of guys, we're actually saying, like, what can I do to help you? And then supporting each other through that. You need this. You need it. You need to get involved somewhere where you can do this, where you can let your shame out of the box and start sorting through it, and not be worried about who's seeing it and gossip and just people doing damage and just trying to find the shame points for everybody. Like, you need to find some other people who want to be wholehearted, and then see each other and be there for each other and encourage each other. If you don't have this place, if you don't have this available to you, then see if you can create this space for others. Be the one to take your mask off first. Be the one that dares to live wholehearted. And you're going to run into people who probably are not ready for that. And you're probably going to run into people who they don't want to deal with it because they are buying their own deception that everything is okay. And it's too horrible to see all of the stuff that's inside of them. But we have to do this. We have to pull these things out so that Jesus can redeem them, so that we can be free of these things and we can live holy. That's the goal, is to live holy and not, and I say holy, but I mean WHOLY. Yep. I don't spell super great out loud like that. I have to write it down. I'm a visual person like that. So I want to live wholeheartedly. And the way you do that is by unpacking the stuff and stop carrying around all of this shame and get it out of your life. Life's too short to be dealing with all of this junk. It's time to be free of it. And the only way you free yourself from all of that is that you have to pull it out, examine it, and ask Jesus to take it away. Ask Jesus to work through it with you and to redeem it and use. It's good to have that fellowship. That's what we're here for, is to help support each other so that we can all look more like Christ. That is the point of it all. It's good for us to have that fellowship together. When you're going to church, ask for reals, how are you doing? And be ready for legitimate answers. Be ready to pray for people and to just be supportive and to maybe they just need a hug. Maybe it just needs to be said. Maybe they just need somebody to know that they're not doing well. But be ready and create that space for other people. And again, I'm not saying that you should just be 100% open and vulnerable with every person you come across. That is not what I'm talking about, because people need to earn that story, especially when you're just starting to unpack these things. Later on, you're going to be stronger and that vulnerability doesn't hurt. It's not so raw. And then you can be more wholehearted and be more vulnerable and open with other people, but you have to build up to that place. So I'm not talking about that. People have to earn to be in that space of being vulnerable with them. But you really need to find that place. You need to cultivate that area. And I'm praying that you can find someone or someones that can help you walk that out. And I dare you to help lead that and to create that space for other people, because it is absolutely essential to us working out our salvation to create that space, to take down the masks, stop walking in the lie, and be wholeheartedly in the truth and let it be able to be redeemed and let it be able to be free. It's amazing. I love it, and I want it for you also. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you hanging out. I'm glad to see you again. And hey, don't ever forget, you are not alone. And welcome to the Martyr Life.